So I'm gonna make this short, sweet. I saw The Woman King a few weeks ago. I thought it was a good movie. I'm not going to talk about anything about how it allegedly doesn't follow historic events. I don't know anything about that, so that's not what we're here to talk about. I just want to talk about it as a movie, and as a movie, it was good. And if you're into these kinds of movies, you can check it out. But the one glaring issue that I personally picked up from seeing the movie is that it honestly should have been like a TV series on like Amazon or HBO Max or something of the sort, because it just doesn't have enough time to flesh out and connect you with the massive cast that the movie has. There are so many characters in the movie, including the main characters, that get the most screen time, and it feels like you don't really get to know them as people. You learn enough about them to connect with them and to push the narrative of the story forward. However, at the end of the day, you don't really feel connected to them. It's not like the way I feel with like Peter Parker and Harry from Spider-Man, because I feel connected to those characters. They are emotional because I know what they're thinking. I know how they feel. I know what's going on in their lives, and I'm connected to them on an emotional level. With these characters, it feels like I learned just what was necessary to get me through the plot, and it functions because the movie isn't bad in that regard. It just didn't really evoke an emotional reaction to me. Like when one of the cast dies at the end of the movie, I didn't really feel anything towards them. I was just like, oh, okay, that makes sense because they got the most screen time out of all of these characters so that you would have an emotional reaction from their death. And that was kind of disappointing to me because I shouldn't feel that way about a character. I should be sad that they're gone and not be like, oh, they did the thing according to plan so that it would evoke a reaction rather than actually just evoking the reaction from me. But I really think that if this were a show, all of these issues would have been solved. Obviously, you still need to keep the show up with good writing and flesh it out and everything of that caliber, but if you give this thing more time, then you get to learn more about the character of John Boyega King. You get to learn more about Viola Davis and experience more about them. You get to learn more about the queens that were in the royal court that were in disagreement with Viola Davis's character. You'd get to learn more about the enemy faction and their ideology, about the Americans that show up in the movie. You would get to see more in-depth and exploration of their characters and ideologies, so you would see them more as people rather than just characters. And I honestly think that is the biggest fault, is that it just didn't have enough time for itself. It's telling this very epic story that expands this massive amount of time, but I can't even say how much time has passed in the movie. Like, it just kind of happens, and I'm just like, how much time from the initial inciting incident of the movie to the end of this movie has passed? Because none of the characters really visibly age. So did this all take place in 1 year? Did it take place over the course of multiple years and the characters just look the same? I mean, hell, that's kind of something that happened in House of the Dragon, is that series skipped multiple years, and a lot of the cast members in the show didn't change because they're like, it'll be fine. They can, stay that way. But at the end of the day, they pointed out that these characters have aged, that many years have passed since XYZ incident happened, but The Woman King didn't really do that for me, and I feel like that's a detriment to the fact that it needed to be a show. And honestly, that's really all I can honestly say about it. If it was a show, I feel like it could have fleshed out everything better, and I would have been more entertained by it. But to end this video off on a positive note, rather than just harping on the fact that it could have been better, I like the action in this. It's not the best action I've ever seen, but I can appreciate quality action when I see it, and the action scenes in this movie were very cool. I very much enjoyed watching them, and I really, really felt happy actually seeing these action instances in the movie, despite the fact that, at the end of the day, I wish this was a show on, like, streaming service or something. But I think that's really all I have to say about The Woman King. So that's the end of this video. Remember, folks, you're innocent until proven villainous, and I will catch you in the next one.